From our Stars and Dogs segment, it's time for this week's Dog.
Yeah, so the dog of the week, so this is a company called Cemtrex. It trades on the Nasdaq exchange down in the US. The symbol is CETX, and it's trading for just over $4 today. So Cemtrex provides custom engineered electronics, emission monitors, instruments for industrial processes and environmental control and air filtration systems, usually for industrial companies and utilities. The stock was on an absolute tear, doing great in the market until just recently. Actually, about a year ago it was trading just over $2. It hit a high of $8 at the start of this year and was trading at about $6 at the start of the week. But since Wednesday, the stock has dropped 30%. So what happened? On Wednesday, a short report was released on the Seeking Alpha website containing a number of allegations, including various types of financial fraud committed by the company, undisclosed payments to stock promoters, and undisclosed sales of shares by insiders of the company, including the company's founder. So the company immediately issued a press release disputing the allegations, stating that the company is pursuing legal action against the short report writer and confirming, amongst other things, that the founder has not sold any shares in the company for years, essentially. So Ryan, you know we've seen this type of story play out many times in the past. A short report is released on a company and the stock price just basically gets smashed. And sometimes there's some credibility behind these reports, and sometimes there's almost really no credibility behind the report or the information. But typically, just the very mention of this type of impropriety scares investors away from the company that's being reported on. And for people that are unaware, a short report is essentially a research report. It's like the opposite of the type of research report that we would like. Instead of writing a research report on a company that you think is going to grow and that you want to buy, you write a research report on a company that you think is overvalued, or in many cases committing financial fraud and is going to decline in price or even go down to zero. So you're essentially saying people should sell the company or short the company. And this is something that we've seen happen quite a bit in the market over recent years. There's been some large companies that this has happened to. A notable one several years back was Sinoforest, and there's been several smaller ones. But as I said, often the credibility of these reports varies a lot, but it sometimes doesn't matter. Usually these reports are very long, and they contain not just one or two accusations against the company, but several different accusations. And this really makes the information more difficult to verify. And honestly, I doubt that most people actually read the information and follow up on the data. I think that it really becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy whether or not the information is credible or not. It doesn't matter. People just get scared, and they've seen companies with short reports issued in the past absolutely collapse in the market, and they don't want to be involved in that. So I have not personally read this report. I may take a look at it over the next few days. But I think that regardless of how credible the report looks, it really creates an overhang on the stock. If we look at the financials of Cemtrex, so earnings per share in the last quarter were up 56%. They were up 50% last year over the year before. And right now, the stock is trading about 6 to 7 times earnings since the decline. So fundamentally, the numbers look very good. And it could be something to look at almost as a speculation at this point. So we may decide to take a look at it, but the risk would be incredibly high, and it's generally not the best strategy to rush into something like this unless you really feel you know the company and the products a lot better than whoever is writing the short report, and you have a lot of confidence that regardless of what happens, even if the share price is going to remain depressed for a couple of years until all of this gets itself worked out, you have confidence that the company is going to continue to produce cash flow. Because even if the contents of the short report are completely not true, if it hinders the company's ability to go back to the market and raise money, and they are dependent on raising that money, it could mean the end of that company, even if the company is not guilty of any of the improprieties. So that's something that you have to consider. Yeah. And it's generally a pretty risky way of investing to run after this kind of stuff. But it's something, you can always take a look at it and see what happens. But in right now, we wouldn't be advising people to rush in. It's not that we think that the company is necessarily a dog at all. Financially, it looks great, but the stock right now is a dog until some more information comes out.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that's a great summary again, but there's two types of short reports that we see, and one can serve a very useful purpose, and that's a credible short report that is actually uncovering fraud, and that can serve a very useful purpose in the market. The other can be a very opportunistic type report that is for the sole gain of the short report writer, and their business itself is just looking at a report and producing a report that causes confusion around the valuation for a particular stock and causes chaos and market carnage, and that's what the report writer profits from. Now, we have no specific knowledge into this writer or whether this is the credible version of a short report that has vetted out fraud, because they are claiming fraud here in this short report, or whether it is an opportunistic report or a combination of both. It can be unfortunate if it is just an opportunistic report, and it can be a long-term opportunity. But right now, it is, it already has caused this stock to be a dog, and we would stay away from it unless we had intimate knowledge of this company and had been following it for years, knew management very well, and then we would stick behind the story. This is not a company that we have recommended in the past. We haven't done our full due diligence on the company, so we would just stay away, maybe look at it further and watch this situation and see how it plays out, and potentially there's an opportunity down the road. But if it is a credible short report and they have unearthed fraud, then good on them. It definitely has produced our dog of the week, though.